Welcome to Supercut of my 1 year in Louisville series. All 9 episodes together for your convenience to watch. Long story short, in 1000 hours of playing this game, I've never been in Louisville. So I had this great idea of recording an entire run and making video about it. It was supposed to be a small one, but ended up so much bigger. Anyway, as for settings, all experience rates are default. Zombie population starts at normal, with peak set to insane. Corpse sickness is disabled, as there will be way too many corpses in city of this size to deal with. And yes, I'm using multi-hit. I know some of you don't like it, and my next project will be without it. As for my occupation, I went with burglar, which in hindsight was not the best choice. With all that said, let's go. Because it was my first time in here, I had no idea where the hell was I. And only way to find out was to go outside and explore. Just moments later, I took on my first zombie and got my first weapon, combat fork. Definitely not the most effective, but it will do for now. And after fighting just few more zombies, I found my first backpack and decided to look for a place where I could spend the night. After just a short walk, I found a house that will be relatively safe. I watched some Life and Living, got level in cooking and carpentry, and upgraded my weapon to a frying pan. I'm not gonna lie, that's a big upgrade. Rest of day 1 was pretty uneventful, so moving on. I started another day with reading book I found inside and doing my daily TV routine. Plan for today was simple, do a bit of exploring around the neighborhood and find anything useful. On a small running track, I found a zombie with a duffel bag, so I put my frying pan skills into use and bashed his brains out. Also found a car with some fuel left in the tank, so I went out looking for a better base location. Just few short steps away from my spawn point, I found a sweet looking warehouse, place that I will call home for next year. Also a crowbar that I immediately put into use. With no energy left, I parked my car against the wall and went to sleep. Days 3 and 4 went really quickly, killing more zombies that kept coming to my base, setting off alarm in the shop on the other side of the street, and leveling up carpentry so I can pick up the bed and stop sleeping inside of a goddamn car. The most exciting thing about day 5, honestly, just the morning fog and the fact that I brought the bed to my base and I can finally get a good sleep. And that brings us to day 6. After clearing most zombies from closest surroundings, I grabbed some food from the gas station just around the corner from my base. I managed to set off another alarm when I was trying to grab a fridge from nearby store. I've also had to start thinking about finding some books and magazines, so I put my eyes on a bookstore not that far away from my base, and decided to take Mr. Crowbar on a little walk. Later that day I came back to pick up that fridge, and after quick installation went to sleep. Which did not last long, as my dude decided to wake up at day 7 on 3 AM in the morning. Most reasonable thing to do was to stay inside and move some items until the sunrise. As soon as that happened, I went out and continued clearing my way to a bookstore. So I was slowly clearing zombies towards the bookstore and minding my own business. I absolutely lost track of time and I forgot about the goddamn helicopter. I quickly ran into my car and drove off, hoping to lead as many zombies away from the base as I can. It took him few hours to actually fly away. Once arrived back to my base, I killed few zombies that made their way here. Thankfully, it was only few. It also started to rain quite heavily, so I decided to stay rest of day 7 inside. On day 8 it was still raining. Also at one point on the previous day I brought a popsicle fridge, which I absolutely forgot to put in the video. Rest of that day was dedicated to killing zombies and barricading my windows. Which brings me to day 9 and the incident. That day started as usual, still raining, but I decided to go out and keep killing zombies that stand between me and my books. And after a few hours I had this idea. What if I could find electrical skill books inside the new station building? Like, you know, what could go wrong? Actually, you know what? Let me just play this clip for you. Three lacerations, and I started to bandage my arm. I'm an idiot. Only thing left was to do Walk of Shame. Entirety of day 10 I spent in base, making sure I'm staying well fed, and yeah, that's pretty much it for that day. Following day, thanks to eating well and keeping my wounds clean, one of the lacerations already disappeared. Honestly, I expected it to last longer. And by midday I was able to go outside and slowly continue my progress towards a bookstore. The rest of that day went up quickly, and I was really optimistic about reaching the bookstore next day. On day 12, alarm went off on one of the watches I looted from the zombies at 4:50 in the morning, so I guess early birds gets the zombie? I would like to use this moment to mention that I'm absolutely in love with the new lighting system. I mean, look at it, it's just beautiful. So yeah, back to killing zombies, this time in fog. Just before 1 o'clock I finally made it to the bookstore. Oh boy, I do hope they have electrical book or generator magazine.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
There were some good books, but nothing that I needed right now, so I left them for later. And with few hours left in the day, I decided to try my luck somewhere else. My first choice was South Louisville Elementary School. When I arrived, there wasn't that many zombies on the outside, and only few on the inside, so I was able to clear my way into the library pretty quickly. And again, not what I was looking for, but this time I grabbed all the books and magazines that I could, put them into back of my car, went home and had some bigger plans for tomorrow. So those bigger plans involve me sleeping till 11 and being late for school. Wait, what? Yeah, anyway, this time Evergreen Public. It pretty much played out the same as day before, few zombies on the outside, few trying to get me through the window, but this time luck was on my side.
Nice.
I grabbed all the stuff, all the books I could, packed them into my car, went home, made some food, read a book, and day was over. Day 14. Now, the only thing standing between me and my long-term survival was lack of generator, and according to AI Overlord, between 20,000 up to 100,000 zombies, and food, and my skill. Since for now I could fix only one, I went and grabbed myself a generator. After dropping it off, I found a small warehouse nearby loaded with loot and shelves that I'm definitely stealing from my own base. The rest of the day I spent dismantling crates and moving items around. The whole of day 15 I spent tidying up my base and putting up new shelves, and somehow I was left with an even bigger mess on the floor than before. I'm certain I will not clean that anytime soon. On day 16 was finally time to take a proper care of my base security. Mainly some walls and gates. I've also added mod with you know what? Spiky traps. But to build all of that, I needed some access, so I put my eyes on the nearest fire station. Here I would like to go on a little tangent. As of writing of the script, I have recorded 65 days. However, due to unstable nature of build 42, last update broke quite a few saves. Mine, thankfully, this time converted just fine to a newer version, but there's always a risk that it's just gonna stop working. Another point that I would like to touch is how much weaker your character feels compared to build 41. It's much harder to deal with bigger groups of zombies, and the fact that I started with fitness level 5 and strength level 7 definitely does not help with it. Later in the video I will try to remedy this by trying something, but the details I will save for later. Anyway, long story short, I got myself 5 axes, went back to base, cut down some trees and installed water collector on the roof that I plugged directly onto the sink. Next day I finally made it back to the bookstore from before, but my car attracted a welcome committee that I had to deal with first. Okay, I don't like the idea of it, but call to action works. So if you made it that far into the video and you're having fun, consider subscribing because that helps a lot. Okay, back to the video. Once inside, I grabbed everything, including some bookshelves that I will use later for my reading room. I walked past this red Franklin a few times already, and since the old owner suffers from a bad case of brains out on the sidewalk, well, it's mine now. The 18 started with a fog, so I made up my mind about which room I'm gonna use as library. One of the bigger problems I was facing at this point was that my food reserves were running a bit low, so it was time to visit a shop I've seen on my way to fire station, and well, I need a long-term strategy for high-calorie food. For now, that would do. There was also a barricaded house down the road, but there was nothing interesting inside, so I spent the rest of the day sorting my bookshelves. On day 19 I was looting some houses nearby, and outside of a very small jump scare, nothing happened. My panties were still clean, so let's move on. Next day I got up at 5 AM in the morning and decided to explore some buildings next to my base. One of them turned out to be a storage unit, where I found not one, not two, not three, 4 generators inside. So yeah, there's that. And another jump scare. No comments. It was still early in the day, so I took a car for another ride. I found 2 stores next to each other. One was a hardware store, second held tailoring supplies. But first, zombie killing montage. When I was looting backroom of tailoring store, something funny happened. A perfectly timed sound event. For a good second, I thought it was my doing. After returning home, I finally read all the magazines I've collected so far, also Fishing Volume 1, and yeah, basically went to bed. Day 21, I went back to fire station to grab some loot that I left behind, got 2 more dual axes, and really nothing more happened on that day, so moving on to day 22. And it was time to start cutting down some trees. Of course, some golf enthusiasts were not so happy about the idea, but they were quickly introduced to my axe. I managed 2 trips on that day. Beside logs, I've got some branches and saplings that I will use later for carving and making spears. Kicked off day 23 with turning all the logs into planks, which was painful as hell because for some reason after you saw them, they stay in your inventory. Yeah, that's how I felt. Thankfully, a good soul on my stream recommended me a mod that solves that issue. If only I wasn't stubborn as hell and I would install it straight away, but no, I decided to suffer for a few more days. For no reason. Well, except maybe, I don't know, fun? I guess? After placing just few frames, I leveled up my carpentry to level 4, so it was time to read another book before coming back and finishing up for today. Day 24 was going great. I built a gate, got carpentry to level 6, and then I realized I don't have skill book number 4. Yeah, another trip to a bookstore. If there was only a place in Louisville that had all skill books in one place. If only. After looting bookstore and not finding carpentry book 4, I robbed greens out of the food, got all the candy from $5 or less, and it became super late, so I just went home. And once again, I was saved by a viewer. Here's what I didn't know. There is an entire university with a library next to it. So yeah, that's my plan for tomorrow. And I overslept again. And there was super thick fog outside, which made things even worse. I just had to be extra careful today. I'm starting to feel I should be seeing a bit more zombies in Louisville. Even for normal population, but I guess we will see later. Anyway, once inside, I got most books I will ever need, with few exceptions, as library focuses mostly on books level 3 to 5, and there is no napping, aiming or reloading. So with that, I got all the books I could and went back home. My dude woke up in a panic in the middle of the night. Just in case I went outside to check for zombies. It was all clean, so I took some sleeping pills and went back to bed. Okay, that took way longer than expected. On day 26, electricity finally went out, and of course I forgot to bring generator to the gas station, so it was back to storage units to grab one. Turns out I missed quite a few floors in library, and on my way out, I had a surprise party waiting by my car. I was trying to take them out, but I quickly realized I don't have to fight them right now, and I've got more important things to do. So off I go. After waking up on day 27, I finally finished reading Carpentry 4 and spent the rest of the day cutting down the trees. Day 28, after spending half of a day in the same way, I decided to shake things up a bit by spending the rest of the day sawing goddamn logs. Almost entirety of day 29 I spent building walls, and later on rebuilding section that I put with a lower skill. I did not like the look of it, just looked low effort. Also, I knocked down last carpentry book, yay! And that finally brings us to day 30. You probably guessed it, I had to build walls on the other side of the base now. If you wonder why the hell do I need so much space, well, I want to grow crops and have some animals in here for, you know, long-term survival. Halfway through the day we got some heavy rain, but that did not stop me from going out and getting some more wood. But it became late, so I went to sleep. Next 2 days were focused mostly on building. I finally got to finish wall on the other side of my base, and carpentry marks the first skill at max level. Also, I tried a bit of foraging, but got bored of it pretty quickly and decided to come back to it at later date. Rest of this and next day I focused on carving. I've got to level 6 and finished day 32 with reading volume 4, covering levels 7 to 8. Day 33 started with knocking down another 2 quick levels in carving. At this point I knew it was a bit late to start growing crops in this season, but decided to search for seeds and start working on my garden regardless of it. First point of interest, tons of green. And being closer to a town center means bigger groups of zombies. At this point I realized 3 things. First, I have a smooth brain. 2, my weapon will fall apart in few hits. 3, I had access in trunk of my car, but with current level of fitness and strength, I would get out of breath really quick. After luring zombies away, I grabbed whatever I could from a car, and both weapons broke down pretty quickly. And I was in a bit of a pickle, I had to lure this group away. I've managed to lose the bigger group around the houses and get back to my car and drive away in shame. Only to come back for round 2 with emotional support crowbar. Okay, enough of this silliness. I got level in nimble, toughness and maintenance, but just had way too much fun at it in this, so I cut them out. Anyway, I got exactly what I came for. Bunch of seeds and some gardening equipment, and it was time to go back to the base and hit the bed. But before that, quickly carving volume 5. On day 34, search for seeds continue. I found this huge warehouse and I spent here whole day. And even after that I was able to loot only a fraction of it, so I just marked it on the map and decided to come back here at later date. After waking up I knocked down last 2 levels in carving, making it second skill to reach max level. It was finally time to start prepping my garden, and while I could take soil from around my base, I wanted to keep grass, so instead I took it from the golf course. And this time nobody showed up to complain. I think I made a strong point with my axe last time. So yeah, there you have it, 3 days of moving soil to my base. Added floodlights so I could work a bit longer in the dark, digging furrows, and planting every seed I had. Some of it will probably die before winter, but for now it's still worth a shot and it will have to do. In the future I plan to expand the garden and cover entire parking lot with it. At end of day 37 I made some fire-hardened spears for later. In part 1 I mentioned I will try to do something about how weak my character feels. Day 38 marks the beginning of it by doing some exercises, twice a day for 20 minutes. Later I cut it down to once a day because it was causing too much muscle strain. Started putting on spiky traps around my base, and I got myself a new car. On day 39, after doing my morning exercises, I went outside only to be met by a group of vandals that destroyed my fence. Justice was swift and fair. I was also gonna look for one more car, but muscle strain kicked in, so I decided to add one more scratch to my collection. God damn it. Rest of that day went by fixing a fence and installing more spiked barricades. Day 40 and 41 were dedicated to building more barricades, and because they used 2 planks and 4 rugs, I had to kill a few more zombies. And I finally gave up and installed the mod Keep Wood on the Ground. With base fully secured, moving on. On day 42 I had an answer to ultimate question of life, universe and everything. Rabbits. Plan was simple. I was gonna build a bunch of crate traps, which took rest of that evening. So I had to wait for the following day to install them and forge 4 carrots, or whatever the hell my future meals are eating. Later that evening, after being yet again bored of forging, I decided to make some short bats, as I never used them before, and while at it, I made some metal bat spiked with bolts and nuts. I'm sure it's gonna be fun. And obviously, I had to give it a try. Okay, to sum things up, short bat, nice damage, but lacks ability to do multi-hit. Metal bat, good damage, but swinging it makes my character too exhausted way too fast, which is a big problem that I already know how to solve, but those plans gonna have to wait at least 30 more days. But for now, moving on. On day 44 I started to think about my rabbits again. I even prepare room for them so they can do their business. So here's the problem. I had another smooth brain moment. I totally forgot about those traps for about 20 days, only remembered when editing this video. After this, I went back to this big warehouse from a few days back and looted everything I found useful. Which brings us to day 45. As I knew I wanted to keep some livestock, went out looking for animal food. Perfect Barker Pet Supplies was my choice, as it was just around the corner from my base. But I didn't have what I was looking for, only cat and dog food. And when I think about it, it kinda makes sense. Livestock, animals, are not pets. So yeah, day wasted. Only thing left was to sit down on the roof of my base, read some books, and think what to do next. Okay, so here's what I came up with. Since there are some farms still within Louisville exclusion zone, I would take a van and look for animal trailer so I could transport some livestock back to my base. I found some chickens, and I took all their food. Found a cow, well at least I think so. I wasn't brave enough to check. And for the very first time I've seen bacon in its natural habitat, but no animal trailer. It was getting pretty late and I didn't want to drive all the way back, so I stopped at this farm, killed a few zombies and called it a day. On day 46, after failing to find a trailer, I decided to perform Grand Theft Chicken, and since I could only grab one at a time, I grabbed the first cock I've seen. Yeah, alright, now I can hear it. I drove all the way back with Rooster in my hands. After arriving and dropping him in the room I made for my imaginary rabbits, I decided to build them a pen on the side of my converted car park. I don't always mention this stuff, but I also hit level 8 in maintenance, so it was time for a final book. Next day, since I could only grab one at a time, I had to perform the same drive twice to get 2 female chickens, so you know, they can do a chicken stuff. Finally, after having my future source of fresh eggs and meat secured, I grabbed a spear and went for a little run around the neighborhood. On my way back, oh my god. Sledgehammer was laying on the ground next to my base. I just grabbed it and ran back home. On day 48, I started working on my electrical skills so I could pick up an oven and start having better meals. Okay, there was an elephant in the room. I didn't want to address it, but here it is. Ever since I moved into this base, I've been dumping all my loot into random crates. My punishment? I spent 4 in-game days, that translates to 3 hours of my life, just moving items between the boxes and sorting them out. Yay! And, thanks to magic of editing, you don't have to experience any of it. After 2 PM on day 52 I was finally able to leave my base. I went back to the houses I looted before in search for kitchen towels, and cleaning equipment that I needed to clean my chicken pen. Yay! After performing what I was hoping for, last chore of that day, I was rewarded with some fresh eggs. Some of them were fertilized, but hey, more protein, right? I didn't think of it at that time, but I could probably boil them over the campfire I have going on my roof, but instead, I proceed to microwave them. Yeah. I needed only one more level until I can pick up an oven, so I grabbed Electrical Volume 2, because this game makes a lot of sense sometimes, right? And that finally brings us to day 53. I had a plan to scout west side of a town for a good fishing location, but I quickly come to a realization, with this visibility, or rather lack of it, I will die. But thankfully I came to my senses and decided to admire today's vibes from safety of my base, reading skill books I have not started yet, and doing some exercises. On day 54 it was still raining a little, but it cleared enough that I decided to explore mansions by the river and look for potential fishing outpost. After arriving there were a few zombies around, so I took my spear with intent to level up a bit. However, after a while I've noticed I'm getting almost no XP thanks to muscle strain and pain. Not wanting to waste my spears, I went back to my base to grab a baseball bat. I've continued killing them for a little longer, but ultimately muscle strain and pain was too much and I gave up for a day and head back home. After returning fresh and rested on day 55, I started to clear parking lot in front of a small store. I found some extra food on the shelves, not much though, so I moved on to the other side of the street to clear a gas station. Same story here, there was some extra food, but not a lot. But I found the arcade machine. Side note, I would love to have one of them at home. After confirming that my closest surroundings are clear, I did a little test run with fishing. I've got it to level 2, and then I proceed to fish for the rest of the day, without realizing I need to read another skill book. God damn it. Next day, on my way to a fishing spot, I've noticed that my car attracted some zombies that gather closer and closer to my base. Not many, but I'd rather deal with them now than later. And then it was back to fishing for the rest of the day. And I still did not realize I have not read another skill book. Yeah. Day 57, even more fishing. Now, let me explain exactly what is the plan and what I'm doing. As I mentioned before, my character doesn't feel strong in combat right now, so I had this idea. I would prepare loads of high-calorie food and power level my strength from level 7 to 8 and my fitness from level 5 to level 7, because right now it's at level 5. Doing that would increase my combat efficiency by a lot. And right now there are some areas of Louisville that I'm actively avoiding because I just know how many zombies are there. I mean, after all, how long could it take, right? And I'm pretty sure I will not regret this at any point. Yeah, anyway, today game received an update, and things got a bit weird. After thinking for a while what to do, I just loaded the game in the debug mode and fixed the car position. Thankfully it happened only once. And rest of that day, going back and forth between fishing spot and my base, because I forgot the fishing line, because my line snapped, and then I forgot the hook, and then I forgot something else. Told you, smooth brain. Oh, and I almost died. Yeah, there's that. Day 58, I finally realized I forgot to read Fishing Volume 2, so I fixed that. And after this I decided to spend the rest of this day at base. Yeah, it was basically a day of maintenance. I had to fix the generator a bit, I've added some more water collectors and plugged the second sink. And the rest of this day went by leveling Tailoring. I wish day 59 was more exciting, but my weight dropped to 76 and I had some books to read. I have no idea when that even happened, but I already had level 8 in foraging, so I knocked down volume 5 while stuffing myself with chocolate, followed up by Tailoring volume 2 and even more sweets, and cooking volume 3, and most likely diabetes at this point. And that finally brings us to day 60. Started with quick round of fishing and got it to level 4. At this point, honestly, I started to get a bit tired of driving back and forth all the time, and I started to think about turning a few of those houses into the proper fishing outpost, you know, so I can come here, stay as long as I need, sleep, eat, do whatever, without having to go back to my base. I started looking around for a new car, because my Red Franklin engine is starting to give up slowly, and I have no idea why. I was looking for a van, but unfortunately I didn't find one in good conditions, so instead I headed back to the base to read Fishing Volume 3. After waking up on day 61, I remembered there was a black van parked behind the house where I spent my very first night in Louisville. It was in so much better condition than my old car. Okay, except for the brakes, but who needs them when the world is ending anyway? With my new ride secured, I went back to the houses by the river and spent the rest of the day fishing. Next day, more of the same, but I've got it to level 5. I've also tried to free someone locked inside the boathouse. I think they were going for a hug, but I might misread their body language. On day 63, I finally decided to level up my electrical skill to level 3 by dismantling everything I could find in the office buildings on the other side of the road. It only took me 2 months, but I finally have an oven in my base. With that done, it was time to start preparing for next phase. I knew I would be spending a lot of time in the houses by the river, and I was absolutely tired of driving back and forth between 2 locations, so I'll be turning this place into a small base that I will be using for fishing and incoming training. But first I had to secure this place with... Okay, my French viewers, you can blame this comment for encouraging me. Cheval de Frise. 2 days went by without any interruptions, until the following day I had to stop on my way to Outpost to deal with a group of zombies that was getting a bit too close to my base. And with that I was able to finish first part of this project. I have noticed that even with decent amount of sleep each night, my character was getting tired a bit too fast. After a quick search online, I realized what was the issue. I didn't have a pillow. And now I do. About 24 days ago, I put down crate traps on the golf course to catch some rabbits. Guess who just remembered about them? Yeah, this guy. Dying of thirst and starving, but they were still alive. After making sure they had water and food, I left them alone so they can do their business. With some time left in the day, I brought the generator to my second base and started working on a fishing pier. And with a day of hard work behind me, it was time to spend my first night in second home. Most of day 68 was dedicated to cutting down the trees and sawing wooden planks. By late evening I made a good progress with construction and decided to pay a visit to a nearby gas station. I will need to store all the fresh food when I will be grinding fitness and strength, so I grabbed the popsicle freezer. After that I was going back to my base and I finally moved the car I crashed like a month ago out of the way. Loaded my van with crates and items I will be needing later and called it a night. Day 69 got off to a bit of a mystery start. First half of my footage went missing. Thankfully, nothing interesting happened. Late afternoon I started working on a small room on the side of the house so I could have access to the fresh water. But my axe broke, and of course, why would I bring extra with me if I can just drive back and forth, like an idiot, again. Now, with everything I need and utility room completed, it was time to connect sink with water collector. Oh no. Now, with everything I need and utility room completed, it was time to connect sink with water collector. By end of day 71, I had finished building a pier and it was time to start making some serious preparations for upcoming grind. Plan was to spend next few days just doing fishing. It was going great at first, even got it to level 6. Unfortunately, day 73 brought heavy rain and wind, and standing in one place in this weather was definitely not a good idea. Which means quick trip back to my base where I had the firefighter jacket and pants. After dressing up, I come to the conclusion that they should provide good enough protection against the elements and I could just ignore them from now on. After another day of terrible weather, instead of fish, I've got myself a nasty cold. Turns out, I cannot ignore rain and freezing wind. Well, lesson learned. Coughing and sneezing, I've undressed myself from all the wet clothes and threw them into a dryer. Stuffed myself with food and went to sleep. Okay, here we are, day 75. Goal was simple: fitness from level 5 to 6 and strength to level 8, so one in each. Here we go! Day 84, first level in fitness. And finally, level in strength. You know what, let's add one more in fitness. How long could it take? It took 51 days to gain 2 levels in fitness and 1 in strength. Never again. After returning my base and confirming that most of my crops have died, as expected, I went to see what my chickens were doing, and I was met with few yellow fluffy balls walking around. And it looked like rabbits were busy when I was away. Long story short, meat will be back on the menu very soon. Now, feeling almighty and powerful, as my first goal, I set my eyes on a fire station and gun store nearby. It was time to test drive my newly acquired powers and see how my brain bashing abilities have improved. Oh yeah, that's a big improvement. I can fight for longer and kill zombies with one hit more often than before. But hey, that's exactly what I expected. Anyway, inside I found some rifles, shotguns, bulletproof vests, and loads of different kinds of ammo. At this point I got a bit annoyed about not being able to attach flashlight to my belt when using two-handed weapon or tools. So I fixed that with mod. I have a feeling, if you can think of it, there is probably mod for it. Oh boy, I love this community. After loading up my van, there was still ammo left in the storage room, but it was getting late, so I decided to come back here tomorrow. But first, a little celebration of me not dying on my first day after spending nearly 2 months training. Yeah! Day 127. On my way to a gun store, I spotted a trailer. Quickly dealt with few zombies, moved old car out of the way, and attached it to my van. After arriving and taking rest of the ammo I left there yesterday, I had another smart idea. Since I wanted to start using guns, I will need aiming and reloading skill books. And what would be a better place to find them than a police station? To my convenience, there was one just around the corner. But first, there was still loads of zombies to deal with before I even come close to it. And that took rest of the evening. After returning next day, I still had a lot of zombies to kill. By 3 PM I made it into the police truck parked outside. I turned on the siren to pull all the zombies out of the building and into the streets. With that done, I was waiting for them to come outside. A quick note, normally zombies inside of the buildings are inactive until you're very close or have a line of sight. But of course, there's a way to fix it. There are 2 mods that work together here. First one spawns zombies inside the buildings when you enter the cell. Second, prevent the game from removing zombies when there is too many of them, but it can lead into funny situations. You know what, I will play a clip from server we hosted with my friends back in the build 41. Quality isn't the best because it's a recording of a recording, but yeah, you have an idea. Just be aware, this can have a very big impact on performance. Not gonna lie, despite having 3 FPS, we all had fun. Okay, back to what I was doing. After seeing what came out of the police station, I re-evaluated my life decisions and decided I will come here at a later date. Okay, change of plans for now, but search for books continue. Next target, AA Ron Hunting Supplies, southeast of Central Park. Since it was almost outside of a town, there wasn't that many zombies, so after quickly dealing with them I went inside. And same as the last gun store, same ammunition, same set of weapons, but I found reloading book 1. For reasons unknown, I left my trailer at the base, so I loaded everything I could fit into my van. After arriving back, I knocked down that book right away. Next day I went back and looted all the ammo and weapons that I missed the day before, and since I was already there, I took interest in Milk and More. Turns out they had nice food supply in there. Gas station next door was just a bonus. After unloading everything, I still had some time left, so I decided to scout the gun store next to Grand Ohio Mall. It looked like quite a dense area, so I'll be back tomorrow. So, after coming back next day with a tactical shotgun, I was so confident I can clear it that I just parked in the middle of the street and started blasting. However, after a while I realized, if I stay here, I'm going to die. So instead I lured zombies away, got into my van, and drove off pretending that it never happened. Instead, I went to police station south of Central Park. This one wasn't so bad, so after dealing with all the zombies, I looted all the ammo and rifles. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything interesting, so yeah, moving on. Okay, here's what happened. I was killing zombies where I set the police siren off before. It was my second day here, and this was the last thing I've seen before my electricity went off. As soon as power came back on, I loaded my save, and I think it got corrupted. How do I know? Well, the date has changed, power was back on. Thankfully, I have a habit of making backups of my saves every day before the new session, for this reason. Listen, if I die because of my fuck up, that's fair enough. At least I'm gonna have a funny way of ending the video. But I rather avoid ending my run thanks to a bug or a corrupted save, which can happen thanks to me playing on unstable branch. But yeah, anyway, here we are. Okay, we're back to day 132 again. Started off with killing zombies until my crowbar broke. After which I kinda felt like playing The Sims for a while, so I started working on my bedroom. It's far from finished, but hey, it's a progress. After crafting a reinforced baseball bat, I spent nearly the entire day on killing zombies on my way to a police station. And because I was getting close to no XP in Long Blunt, thanks to being drowsy, I just read the book until the bedtime. After waking up and crafting 2 more reinforced bats, I went on a killing spree. And we hit level 5 in Long Blunt. Because I'm not gonna be looting piles of zombies one by one, thank you very much, I have added one more mod. I was getting a bit sleepy, so I went home and played The Sims again. Added new sofa to my library, and some shelves to my kitchen. Finally, on day 135, after killing few more zombies, and getting some rags for future tailoring grind, I was able to get inside the police station. Not even a single gun in the armory, only ammo. Evidence room had a crowbar and some short blunt weapons, but nothing interesting. They even had small library section, but of course no aiming or reloading books. Found a dartboard and pinball machine. At one point in the future I'll come back for them. This place was so big that after checking every room it became kinda late, so I'll be coming back tomorrow for loot. Honestly, there wasn't that much loot inside, so after moving everything into my van, I still had plenty of time left. Just look at this pile of corpses, it would be a shame to leave them like that, so I spent the rest of the day getting rags. Okay, new day, new point of interest, this time Army Surplus Store, top left corner of Louisville. I had really high hopes for this one, after all, it had Army in the name. But first, of course, I had to clear the parking outside. Thankfully, there are no big buildings on this side of the town, so it went quickly. Once inside, we are off to a good start. Reloading 2, and Aiming Volume 2. When I was trying to get into the armory, I've discovered that I left my sledgehammer in my base. Because of course I did. After returning and getting inside, luck was on my side. I found M16. Also a bunch of rifles, shotguns, and of course tons of ammo. I was taking everything that was not nailed into the ground. There were still ammo and weapons inside, but both my trailer and van were already full, so I will be coming back here. Entirety of next day was dedicated to sorting and splitting ammo into the crates, and getting all my weapons displayed on the table for fast access. Also, when I was at it, I decorated my base with US flag and signs I took from the store. Day 139, I came back to a police station. Corpses here had loads of pistols and I wanted to get some magazines from them. I've got my running skill to level 5 when I came back for rest of ammo and weapons from the gun store. That wasn't the most exciting day. However, next one, oh boy. Okay, so I couldn't find Aiming Book 1, but I had Volume 2 and 3. And I decided it would be a good idea to just level up those skills using revolvers I had. After arming myself with around 300 rounds of ammo, I went outside. I had this smart idea to start shooting only when I was a bit further away from my base. However, what I did not take into account was this huge office building next to me. As I was shooting them, I've just seen this line of zombies coming outside of the building. And it wasn't slowing down. After a while, the group wasn't getting smaller at all, it just kept growing. Oh shit, what have I done? Since I was still pretty close to my base, I took an executive decision to lure them away and lose them behind some buildings and just come from other side. There were still tons of them around, so I had to deal with them somehow, and I chose baseball bat. The main horde was still out there, but it became kinda late. After dealing with the last group I pulled, I headed back to my base to rearm and prepare myself for a longer fight next day. Kicking off day 141, I had to deal with the massive horde of zombies after recklessly firing my gun way too close to my base. And what is the best way to handle a crowd? Fire even more shots, obviously. Once I had them all together, I switched back to my baseball bat and started separating them into smaller groups. I was doing this little dance of firing my gun, followed by swinging my bat, and more shooting. For some reason, after a while, I started getting sad. Because sadness affects attack speed, I quickly went back to base and grabbed the book. Because apparently that's the way to cure trauma from killing hundreds of your former neighbors. I don't know, if it was me, I think I'll be having Zombieland Kill of the Week levels of fun. I mean, it's end of the world, you've gotta enjoy little things, right? Anyway, fun continued, until I got tired and it was end of the day. After dealing with last group of strugglers from yesterday, it was time to move up from Patrol Revolver to something bigger. Magnum. Feeling the raw power in my hands, I moved toward Network News building and started doing my best Frank Reynolds impression.
Started blasting, bang, bang!
Which quickly turned into another horde of zombies, but this one was much smaller and easier to handle. Got my aiming skill to level 2, so it was time to read another book. After that it became a bit late, so I done some maintenance around the base, added green lights, because nobody can stop me. With that, moving on to next day. You will never guess what I spent next 2 days doing. Yep, even more shooting. I'm starting to think this might be a recurring theme for a while. And I can feel how zombie population is increasing. I've been here for weeks, yet the area surrounding my base is still crawling with them. At one point I switched gun to L94 and started clearing other side of the news building. Despite it being already zombie-free before, gunfire kept attracting new ones from surrounding buildings. I moved to the main street with idea to clear it up to Brooks Public Library and eventually all the way to Bridge Checkpoint. But that's gonna take some time, and ammo, and dedication. You'll see later. On day 145 I wanted to do something different. I was going to a police station I cleared before to pick up the pinball machine and dartboard I left behind last time. But first I stopped by a food market to do a little shopping. After arriving, I was convinced that the building was already clear. But to my surprise, there were still zombies behind the security door. Thinking that it would take them some time to break it, I started packing pinball machine into my backpack. Okay, that was close. I didn't even hear them breaking the door. After running outside and loading my pinball machine into a trailer, I went back to deal with them. And I changed my mind. Instead, I turned on the police siren and just started killing whatever was coming outside. And it became late again, so I'll be back tomorrow. But first I had to install my trophy. So next day I returned to the police station, again. Quickly I dealt with few zombies outside, took my new toy, and instead of heading straight to a base, I went for a little ride to check how many zombies are outside of a baseball bat factory. On my way I drove past Bridge Checkpoint and I found a lot of car wrecks. Good, I'm gonna need them later. After arriving I've noticed that there wasn't that many of them outside, so I started killing them. And as soon as I did, my character became drowsy. So instead I headed home. I couldn't find any better place for my darts, so for now they end up on the roof. Okay, I decided that today I'm gonna start working on my mechanic skills. And to help myself, I'm gonna be using Auto Mechanic mod. If you don't like the grind on this skill, I highly recommend this one. First two levels went really quickly, and it was time to play The Sims again. I finally moved TV from upstairs and brought it down to my library. I've also done some work on the kitchen. Started day 148 with knocking down Mechanic Volume 2, and I moved the last items onto their shelves in the kitchen. I got my skill to level 3, but I ran out of cars to work on today. Behind the furniture store, just outside of my base, there was an ambulance in near perfect conditions, so obviously it's mine now. I stole a barbecue from behind the fast food, and 2 new arcade machines. I set them up in my lobby, and the grill ended up on the roof, which slowly transforms into the party area. Next day I continued to work on my mechanic skills, read another book, and gained another level. Starting day 150 with a trip to mansions by the river, where before I've seen stuff that was essential to my survival. Yes, plastic flamingos. And jukebox. Okay, so Florida Yardbirds end up on the roof. And music box to my bedroom. Installing sink and plugging it to water collector was a final touch in my kitchen for now. Later on I worked a bit more on my cars, but it got too dark, so I just called it a night. It was cold and windy today, but with warm clothes I continued to work on my mechanic skills and eventually got it up to level 6. You know what, I started to feel a bit lonely. No, they don't have names yet. And no, I didn't start talking to them. So far. You know, because I'm shy. Anyway, I've added new mod, Project Cook. It adds new UI and making food with it is much more fun. And since there'll be more cooking in game, maybe this one guy will finally shut up about it. You know, Martin, I'm talking about you, right? Another day, another adventure. It was finally time to pay a visit to that baseball bat factory. After killing all the zombies around, I finally got to looting. Found car battery charger, that might be useful at one point. I end up taking 27 bats. That's gonna be enough for now. If I will ever need more, I'll simply come back here. Instead of driving straight home, I've done a little drive-by around Grand Ohio Mall to see how is zombie population around here. Yeah, at one point I'm gonna have to come here and deal with them, but not now. On my way back I've noticed that zombies start gathering again around the news building, so I spent a few hours dealing with them. After that I crafted some reinforced baseball bats. And I wanted to see how I was welding those days. Yeah, I gave up for now. I will come back to it later. Day 153 welcomed me with snow. After thinking for a while what to do, I took a shotgun with intent to fire a few shots to attract zombies from nearby buildings and be finally done with them. After dealing with most of them, again, I moved up to the main road. I think there is something messed up with how fast snow disappears from the ground in the big chunks. I didn't want to use siren in ambulance, just in case it would get overrun by zombies, so I needed a second car. I went back to the old police station, again, and started towing car. Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with snow right now. I left it on the main road, but it had dead battery, so I'm gonna have to replace it at one point. Only thing I've done for next 2 days was killing zombies, and I got nimble to level 5. Okay, see, technically it wasn't a lie, because on the 3rd day after hitting Drowsy, I started collecting big stones and leveling up my masonry skill. Why? Well, because for the first time, at least for me, I'll be doing blacksmithing. So next few days look like that. Wake up, kill zombies, collect stones, level up masonry. Wake up, kill zombies, level up masonry. Wake up, kill zombie. Actually no, today reading masonry volume 2. Then leveling up masonry to level 4, which I didn't have to do, but done it anyway. I've made a stone anvil. Next step, also remember this isn't a guide, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've decided to build a dome kiln. After a good 10 minutes of trying to figure out how to mix concrete inside of a bucket. And after that, I just knocked down Masonry Volume 3. Starting off the 160 with building simple furnace. And discovering that I'm gonna need clay. Thankfully, quick search online revealed the location nearby that might have some. And that's exactly where I went. It was exactly where it's supposed to be, so after quickly filling a few sacks, I just went back to base. After arriving back, I found that I need pottery wheel, so that's what I built. Finally, I was able to craft crucible. But to finish it, I had to first put it inside of a kiln, and to do that, I needed a fuel. So I had to build a charcoal burning pile. With all steps finished, I spent another 10 minutes trying to figure out why I cannot place Crucible inside of a kiln. And I realized I needed advanced one. Okay, finally, I've got my ceramic Crucible. It's time to end this day, honestly. Okay, another day, another steps. This time I needed hand operating press to make an anvil mold. With that done, it was time to start melting everything I could find in my base. And oh boy, that was another adventure on its own, trying to find what I can use, what I cannot use. Because some items can be melted in simple furnace, others need advanced one, so yeah. Next day I ran out of stuff to melt, so I had to go out and dismantle 2 car wrecks nearby. Anyway, I finally finished my anvil, only to discover I still needed to build an actual primitive forge first. After building one on day 163, I was finally able to start making some real progress with blacksmithing. Easiest way to level it up was to make a loop of forging spoons and then melting them back. It was all going really smooth until level 2, where I hit the bottleneck. You see, I don't have Blacksmithing Volume 2. I searched everywhere, and I couldn't find it. So it was back to fighting zombies on my way to Brooks Public Library. Do I need to clear the whole street? No, I don't, but I want to. Okay, so the plan is to replace car battery inside of the police car, park it outside, and turn the siren on. I could probably use fire to deal with them much faster, but I don't wanna risk burning everything down. It was time to start the killing spree. To stay effective in combat for longer, I started drinking coffee. When your character becomes drowsy, it reduces damage you deal with weapons, which means you need more hits to kill, and weapons break faster, and you're getting less experience. It will take some time to kill all of them, so I need any advantage to stay longer in combat. Before heading back home for tonight, I wanted to check how many zombies came out so far and what I will be dealing with tomorrow. For next 4 days, I was using Trapper Carabine to make zombies come to me, and Baseball Bat if I wanted to split them into smaller groups. So there you have it, 4 days of killing zombies. On a Christmas day, I decided to take a day off from killing zombies. I took the biggest chicken I could find. I wanted to cook it inside of the oven, but I didn't have the roasting pan. So instead, I went with secret horn eater stew recipe. Take everything you have, put it in the pot, and don't let anyone airsick touch the seasoning. After having a nice meal, I decided to work a bit on tailoring skill. I think I drank a bit too much whiskey, so I just went to sleep. Following day, after waking up, I was still in the Christmas mood, so I decided to take M9 pistol and continue spreading joy all over the pavement. After returning back to base, I decided to work a bit more on my tailoring skill. Day 170. I woke up quite late, so I decided to stay in base and continue working on the skills from last night. To mix things up a bit, I've also started doing a bit of mechanics later on. Day 171. I was getting closer to Brooks' library, so I took M1 rifle for a spin. There was heavy fog for most of the day, but thankfully it cleared out by 4 PM. Unfortunately, an hour later I become tired, so on my way back I quickly hit the store for some extra food. Went back to base and worked on my mechanic skills until I hit level 7. And special thanks to a guy without anything better to do. Day 172, I was getting into the routine of cooking fresh meals every morning. It only took few thousand kills and almost 20 days, but I was able to clear remaining zombies with baseball bat and finally enter the library. Found few magazines I still didn't have, and my holy grail, Blacksmithing Volume 2. Instead of heading straight home, for whatever reason I decided to pay a visit to Kitten Knives. Well, I found a bunch of knives, not exactly sure what I expected here. Once I was back, I spent the rest of the day reading a book. Entirety of next day I spent in base wasting my time trying to find the best way how to level up blacksmithing. I've tried few different things, but at the end I end up forging spoons. After a day of hard work, I was going to bed when I hear something outside. A zombie has breached my defenses. I quickly fixed it and went to sleep. Following day was absolute peak gameplay. All day forging spoons and breaking them back into chunks. I've got blacksmithing up to level 4, read another book, and back to making more spoons. On day 175 I wanted to start working towards advanced furnace and forge. But first I had to make large bellow, which required medium leather, that I didn't have. I remember I've seen some pigs on the farm just outside of town. After arriving I fed one of them with lead, only to find out that it's too big to fit onto the trailer. And cutting it down on the ground doesn't yield any leather. I was just thinking I'm gonna have to come back here tomorrow to build a butchering hook, when I've seen something.
NANI?!
Zombie with big military backpack. I've only checked what was inside once I was back in the base. Long Blade Volume 2. Today wasn't a waste after all. I was driving back to farm when out of nowhere 3 jumped in the middle of the road. Upon returning, I was welcomed by an angry mob. I guess they didn't like I fed their pigs with lead pills yesterday. After building a butchering's hook and feeding pigs with more lead, since you know, there was no one left to be angry over it, I started collecting all the goodies. Once I returned back to base, I processed all the leather, I've built 2 drying racks inside, and I've called it a night. Entirety of next day I spent moving items around the base, cooking meals to gain some weight, and I've built a second chicken coop. I was very close to level 6 in butchering, so I grabbed the most unlucky rabbit I had. When I was done with it, I think it was pregnant, because there were baby rabbits on the floor. Well, more butchering. Day 178. After finishing reading book I started last night, I've discovered that my leathers were drying very slowly. Who would have thought that inside of the warehouse it would be cold during the winter? Huh. I needed a source of heat, and I knew that inside of a central park there's a cabin with antique stove inside, so that's where I went. Quickly loaded it into my trunk, and I took extra souvenir from my base. Stove was crackling with fire, deer's head on the wall, moving on to next day. That I started with trip for more wood. As I was cutting trees I got tired and I was going to sit inside my van, and then I zoomed out. I have no idea where they came from, but there was even more of them, so I just spent the rest of the day turning them into fertilizer. Day 180. After waking up early and killing remaining zombies, I was finally able to get my morning wood. I was working on my blacksmithing until late at night, and I heard banging on my door. Another breach. I bet they're just following sounds of the car. After quickly fixing it, it was time to hit the bed. Okay, next 3 days, more blacksmithing. I've got it to level 6, and that was the most exciting thing that happened during that time. So yeah, moving on. Day 184. I went back to big warehouse to check if I didn't miss anything useful. After dealing with few zombies outside, I looted some extra tools that I might be using later on. Since I was nearby, I stopped by Andre and Son handcrafted wallets to check if they have some medium leathers. Unfortunately, they don't have leather strips, so I just drove off. On my way home, I stopped by some cars to get their engine parts, as it was time to start fixing my own van and ambulance. Nothing worth of note happened today, so moving to next one. For whatever reason, I miscalculated how many leathers I will need for large bellow, and I was thinking I'll be missing some. So I went for another ride. This time the farm I was going for had some cows. And turns out baseball bat is much better tool to kill them than a gun. Ha, who would have thought? Because they're extremely heavy, I had to build another butcher hooks on the spot. I've collected all the leathers, all the meat, all the bones, and went back home. On my way, I had another close encounter. This time lamppost walked straight under my wheels. God damn it. When I was recording this, I had a really bad flu, so I've built large plant drying rack instead of the leather one. Oh well, an excuse for being smooth brain is good. Especially that the whole trip was unnecessary. Next day, another trip for even more wood. Turning logs into charcoal to feed the furnace and anvil is consuming so much of it, you just never have enough. Anyway, I had to find a better way of leveling blacksmithing, and I found out about using gold jewelry to make gold coins. And that's exactly what I did. And quickly hit level 7. Following day, more of the same. Again, snow just magically disappeared. I was getting closer and closer to hitting another level, but it got late, so I decided I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. So I woke up at 4:20 in the morning and decided to take some sleeping pills, which was a mistake because then I woke up at 3 PM, so most of that day was wasted. Anyway, I've got another level in blacksmithing and read volume 5, then just went to sleep. Day 189 was fully dedicated to printing coins. I will spare you clips of me cooking meals. Got blacksmithing to level 9, and my medium leathers were ready. Tomorrow is gonna be a big day. After half a day of preparation, getting stone bricks, crafting large bellow, at 4 PM I finally built advanced forge. Now, only thing missing was more fuel, which means another trip for wood. And after all that, I crafted my very first crude sword. Next day, I went out to test my new toy, and of course, out of all the days, today it had to be foggy. I ended up killing only a few zombies close to a base. Also, I raided one store for some extra food, because you know, you never have enough. Later on, I crafted another sword, this time made of steel. and turns out it's even better than the last one. Day 192. I went out collecting large stones. Thanks Eric for tip about breaking stones as I go, that was useful. Once I had enough for advanced furnace, I've noticed this nice big group of zombies, which was perfect to get first 2 levels in long blades. After returning, I decided to level up my electrical skill since it was almost at level 4, and then I read Long Blades Volume 2. After waking up, I finished reading Masonry Volume 4 and Electrical Volume 3. Big chunk of today was consumed by preparing stone bricks, and late at night, I finally finished building Advanced Furnace. Day 194. After waking up quite late, I decided I would love to put my hands on more long blade books, so I went out looking for barricaded houses. First one had a couple of schematics, but nothing else that was interesting. When I was killing zombies around second house, I got my long blades to level 3. Again, more schematics, but nothing I was looking for. Okay, I think my settings might be off because I found third barricaded house just nearby. Same kind of loot, but again, nothing great. House number 4. This one was guarded by more zombies. And my weapon broke. It was time to go back. I crafted 2 more swords and called it a night. As I was driving towards barricaded houses, there was fog coming in. I decided I'm gonna take a risk and I'm gonna keep fighting for now. It was going quite smooth, but at one point fog became a bit too thick, and worrying about my safety, I just retreated back to base. I crafted machete since I didn't try them in build 42 so far. Weather was still bad, I just worked on my mechanic skills until I hit level 8. Weather has improved, but it was already too late to go out anyway. And there was another breach. Later on I found out what was the problem. There were 2 mods that worked together, but one of them stopped working, so I replaced them with a single one that works by scaling Spike's damage with trapping skill. Okay, so weather took a turn for even worse. I'm not 100% sure, but that looks like a snowstorm to me. After cooking a fresh meal and reading a book, I work on my mechanic skills until I hit level 9. Oh boy, I love weather in this game, and the sound design. Okay, next day, weather is still shit. Looks like I'm getting my mechanics to level 10. And you know what? Blacksmithing to level 10. Why not? Finally, good weather. I've decided to go back to the barricaded houses from before. This time I parked on the other side of a fence, just in case. After hitting level 4 in long blades, I switched to machete. Only loot worth of noting was Snapping Volume 3 and more schematics. After this I went on a small drive down the road to see if other types of houses also have that many barricaded ones. Maybe some of them have better chances to spawn them than others. Let me know in the comments if you have any idea how that works. Upon returning, before going to bed, I read Animal Care Volume 2. Next day I was able to verify that new mod actually works. I took some spare parts from cars parked outside and fixed engine in my van. I went out and started dismantling some black fences that I believed could drop steel bars. You see, I didn't think of getting clay from foraging until much later on. I was trying to save it since making steel bars require molds and they're only one-time use. Anyway, another breach. I don't even feel safe at my own base anymore. I decided to just fully seal this gate and be done with it for now. And that brings us to day 200. After giving up on barricaded houses for now, I decided to use the fact that I cleared most of the main road already. Just past Brooks Public Library there is art gallery, and behind it a pawn shop. After driving past it and honking a few times, it was time to get to work. From my experience, this might take a few days. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back here tomorrow. Day 201. My plan for now was to get into the pawn shop that's just behind Art Gallery on the main street. After arriving and parking outside the Brooks Library, I had to deal with few zombies first. Then I installed fresh battery into the police car and moved it further down the road. I turned on the siren and continued through the day with clearing groups that were showing up. After hours of fighting, my character became drowsy, so I decided to go back. With some time still left in the day, I've done a bit of foraging, and then I hit the bed. Same shit, different day. After coming back, I continued work from yesterday until they stopped coming. Then I moved police car closer to a pawn shop to lure even more zombies from surrounding buildings. I had a little break from playing the game, and once I come back, I actually forgot to press record, so I lost about 3 in-game hours. During that time, I've killed few more zombies and broke inside of the pawn shop with a sledgehammer, so we didn't lose that much. It was getting quite late, so I decided I'm gonna come back for loot tomorrow. But first, quick round of foraging, and I hit level 9. It was time to start looting the pawn shop. Unfortunately, I did not find aiming, reloading or long blade books, but I got a lot of ammo, some weapons like M1A, loads of attachments, and I took posters and flags off the walls. Once I came back, I spent the rest of the day sorting loot. I read schematics I looted for the last few days and hit the bed. On day 204 I wasn't exactly sure what to do, so I went out and hit level 10 in foraging. Found some clay, and I tried dismantling some more of the black fences. Unfortunately my welding skill isn't high enough, so I'm gonna have to level it up. For now I have used all clay I had to make molds for steel bars. Following day I made myself 5 new machetas. My fuel reserves were getting low, so it was time to get some more. After spending some time thinking what should I do next, I decided I'm gonna level up welding, so I will have better success rate at dismantling black fences for steel bars. There were car wrecks at the end of the road I cleared before, so I took police car left outside of the pawn shop. Plan was to left siren running to gather all the zombies, but it stopped working. Instead, I started honking in hope that it will be enough to gather all of them. There were only few, so I quickly dealt with them. And went back to base. After returning next day and killing few more zombies, I got into dismantling cars. Quickly hit level 2, looted all the parts laying on the ground, went back to base, moved all the scrap into crates, and I read Welding Volume 2. Day 207. I had enough metal sheets, so I decided I'm gonna level up welding by building metal floors. And for whatever reason, there glitched in my wall, which was distracting me, and I fell down, giving myself a deep wound. After putting stitches on and cooking some food so I can stay well fed, I started working on the floors again, this time on the ground, for safety reasons. Got welding to level 3, and spent the rest of the day doing maintenance around the base. There was no way I would go outside of my base with that limp, so instead I hit level 4. And then read welding volume 3. Because I was running low on metal sheets and had nothing better to do, I leveled up tailoring to level 6. Cooked a meal and went to sleep. Started following day with knocking down tailoring volume 4. I sacrificed some of 9mm ammo and extracted gunpowder and crafted 3 pipe bombs that I'm gonna use later. When I was replacing my bandages, I've seen that my deep wound was gone and I was left with a scratch, so it was time to go outside. With higher level of welding, I went back and dismantled more black fences, as they were the best source of steel bars for now. This time results were much better and I got loads of steel bars I'm gonna use later for crafting machetas and swords. On day 210 I decided to grab police car parked nearby my fishing outpost. Since it was in almost perfect condition, I'll be taking it home, as part of preparing myself for Grand Ohio Mall. But first, I wanted to secure my base, as constant stream of zombies was coming and banging on my fence and getting inside. Okay, my plan for next few days was to fully surround my base with Cheval de Frise, also known as spiky traps, and that involved me getting more rugs and cutting down trees. Entirety of day 211 was dedicated to getting more wood and more rugs. Next 2 days I spent building defenses. Day 214. I underestimated how many rugs it will take to fully enclose my base. And I found out that it's much faster to take clothes from zombies and rip them while sitting inside of the car. Following day I was testing something, and zombie broke my gate. It was time to build a zombie catcher. Unfortunately, I ran out of wood, so guess what I was doing next day? I knew I will go through rugs I already have really quickly, so I went to a nearby hospital to get some more. I was looting bodies and I've noticed something. I didn't want to fight this group right now, but some started moving my way. After dealing with them, I stuffed my van and trailer with clothing and went back to base and spent the rest of the day ripping them apart. After waking up, I finished enclosing my base, and put final touches to the zombie catcher. Day 219 marks the beginning of my biggest and probably the most useless construction project in this game so far. I was thinking, you know what would look really cool? Catwalk surrounding all my base. On day 222 I realized I very heavily underestimated how many nails it will take. Fortunately I had some in my outpost and big warehouse, again. The best part? It wasn't the last time when it happened, because I stopped looting them long time ago thinking, you know what, I have 7 boxes, they will last me. Also I was going through stupid amount of wood and some days I spent only cutting down trees. Days went by and I was making a good progress. On day 226, when I was getting more wood, I got ambushed. Which was a bit odd, because usually you can hear them approaching. Anyway, next 2 days went by without any incidents and construction was going smoothly. Until I ran out of nails, again. So it was time to visit 2 hardware stores I knew still had some nails left. In first one I found 2 boxes. Second store was guarded by a bunch of zombies that I dealt with quickly and was rewarded with 4 boxes of nails and 2 floodlights. Rest of that day, you guessed it, more wood. Next 5 days went by really quickly, without anything interesting happening, just getting more wood and making good progress on my catwalk. Day 235. All was going great, until I ran out of nails. Again. So it was time for another trip to the hardware store. First one near AA Ron Hunting Supplies, and then one nearby Gigamart. So this one had only 1 box of nails, kinda disappointing. And second one was guarded by small group of zombies outside. But I found 4 boxes of nails, and hopefully that will be enough. Following day I was getting last bits of wood when something interesting had happened. Maybe one of you in the comments could explain to me what happened here. Day 237, I finally finished building it. It was time for a victory lap. And one final touch. On day 238, I finally started proper preparation for Grand Ohio Mall. I crafted 9 machetas and 4 swords. I've done a little drive-by to see how's the zombie population on the parking lot. Following day I went on a small ride to nearby Gigamart to stack myself on some cans and other food that's easy to transport. There were quite a few zombies outside, so I had to deal with them first. Okay, maybe it's a bit more than I expected. Once I got all the food, I returned back to base. My preparations were going at full steam. I've done another drive-by, this time on other side of the store, and I found the perfect spot where I can leave my car and retreat if necessary. After I was done with all the preparation, I've noticed I almost hit level 6 in running, so I decided I'm gonna finish it before going to bed. Day 241. I get up early in the morning and started towing police car towards its destination. But since towing sucks, I helped myself with a mod. Once I arrived, I left the ambulance on the parking lot and switched to police car. Turned the siren on and I started gathering all the zombies. Once I felt I had enough of them, I left the police car running with the siren on, grabbed the shotgun and started blasting. After some time, I felt like I'm not even putting dent into this horde. And actually opposite, I think it was just getting bigger. It was time to try pipe bomb, and I had 3 of them. Honestly, I was a bit nervous about using it because I've seen people blowing themselves up with it. First throw. And holy shit, they are powerful. Shortly after, I threw the second one, and the third one. I think I should group the zombies a bit more before throwing them, but I was still happy with the results. Rest of the day I was swapping between using a shotgun and machete and slowly working through the horde. However, once I hit drowsy, I knew it was time to get the hell out of there. Following day, I took M1 rifle, ton of ammo, and went back. I think I prefer it over the shotgun. I have much more control over what zombies I'm actually hitting. Later, I started swapping weapons around. I was using sword for a while, and then back to rifle. And back to a sword. It started getting late, so it was time to back off. Day 243. After arriving back, I felt like there is much less zombies already around. And I finally get inside. Not much happened today except for me killing a few more zombies, so moving to the next one. Day 244, turns out there was more of them, so it was just killing more zombies. And it was the first time I've seen zombies pretending to be dead during this run. Interesting. Since my goal was to get into the gun store and parking lot being relatively clear, I started killing zombies on other side. I got long blades to level 6. And after a few more hours, I had an idea. I took spare generator from the base and dropped it inside. Some of you can probably see where it's going, but we're gonna come back to this tomorrow. Day 246. I arrived back to Grand Ohio Mall, killed few zombies inside. I was so proud of myself for being so clever with bringing generator to light this place up that I totally missed that it's still classed as being inside. As soon as I turn the lights on, I've noticed I'm losing HP. My only excuse? Well, you know it. I told that many times, I have a smooth brain. Anyway, I took generator outside. Thankfully, light switches were still within the range, so I'm not gonna have to loot in the darkness. On the side note, on the next run, I'm definitely taking Cat's Eye straight. After breaking in and killing a few more zombies, I could finally get to looting this gun store. And it was another big disappointment. No aiming, no reloading book, not even single M16. There wasn't even that much ammo. Well, at least I had some fun killing zombies outside. Following day I remembered there was one more gun store nearby, just on other side of the car park. and since I killed most zombies around here, I could just get straight into it. This one also didn't have books I was after, but there was ton of ammo, some extra M1A magazines, so I was quite happy with it. Rest of the day I spent unloading car and sorting loot. Day 248. I've decided I'm gonna try one more place. Police station next to Expo Center. And since I was quite close to getting level 16 aiming, I took some weapons with me. Started off with M9 pistol until I ran out of loaded magazines. And then L92. With level 16 aiming and no skill books, it was time to put guns away for now. Upon returning, I found out I neglected my chickens, and some of them were dead. But since they were still fresh, nothing goes to waste. There was still a lot of zombies between me and the police station, and because I wanted to level up some other weapon skills, I picked axes. I started off with one-handed hatchets. I'm probably not gonna be using them as much later on because of how slow they are and how much stamina they drain, but my monkey brain loves watching number going up. After hitting level 3, I took a van parked outside of a church so I could honk and gather more zombies. I'm always leaving my main getaway car further away from action, you know, just in case. A small rain slowly transitioned into full-blown thunderstorm. After some time, I've called it a day, and on my way to base, I almost had an accident. And I got cooking to level 9. On day 250, it was still raining, but it didn't stop me. This time I took firefighter axe and continued through the day with clearing zombies, until I hit level 4. After coming back to base, I planted some carrots that I'm 100% confident I will forget about. Following day, I was still in the mood for leveling weapon skills, so I tried short blunt with nightstick. But after a while, I decided I'm gonna do this at later date with different weapon, because this one sucks. For now, it's back to machete. I became drowsy quite early today, and not wanting to waste time, I went back, took a van with a trailer, and loaded it full of clothes. On my way back it became a bit dark, and I didn't realize I had smashed lights. Thankfully I came back before it was pitch black outside. After waking up, I turned all the clothes into rugs, cleared a few more zombies, loaded my van again, and made more rugs. Started day 253 with getting more rugs, before moving back to killing zombies. And this time there was loads of them coming from the boxing arena. I think it's time for more fitting music. Following day, after I cleared remaining zombies, I've broke wall to the police armory, and finally got to looting again. No aiming or reloading, but I found 2 M16s, extra magazines, and shit tons of ammo, so I was quite happy with it. After returning and unloading all the loot, I turned some rugs into threads and went to sleep. After waking up on day 255, I've noticed my engine in van was in low condition, so I took parts from nearby cars. After fixing it, I spent the rest of the day looting clothes and turning them into rugs. All of them have to be cleaned for tailoring, and because I didn't have enough water in my base, I loaded close to 1,000 rugs onto my van and went back to my fishing outpost, where I spent entire day cleaning them. Believe or not, it took extra few hours of day 257 before I was done. And the rest of the day I spent working on tailoring. The same with following day, crafting threads and working on tailoring again. On day 259 I managed to get tailoring to level 7. Following advice from a comment on the last video, I decided to visit factory just north of Scarlet Oak Distillery. I found about 10 steel bars, which is not bad. On my way back, I killed few zombies that were getting closer to my base. And I crashed my car. Thankfully, no injuries this time. At this point I decided I'm gonna do something. Loaded my van with supplies. I was on my way to a fishing outpost. I blame my cat. This guy jumped on my desk demanding pets. And by the way, he already killed at least one character that way. Anyway, he did receive his pets, but only after I removed glass and put the stitches on my wound. Upon arriving to my fishing outpost, I fixed my gate and started fishing. I was going to bed and I've heard zombie outside. He was hiding in the bush, 100% not scary, not knowing exactly where he was. Yeah. On day 261 I hit level 10 in fishing. Around 130 days ago, after leveling fitness and strength, I said never again. Which turns out to be a lie, because I spent next 32 days grinding another level in fitness. On day 293 I hit level 8 in fitness. I've done a bit of fishing to get some more food, and what the hell is this monster? And went back to training, this time leveling strength. When I seen my character using only one hand, I had this picture in my head. Thankfully, strength is much faster to level up, and on day 304 I got it to level 9. I gathered all my stuff and went back to base, where I found out my generator was off all that time, so all the food in the freezer was rotten. Thankfully I had fresh fish, so it was fine. Then I spent the rest of the day crafting threads. Same next day, with a bit of tailoring at the end. On day 306 I ran out of rugs, and finally decided to clear the hospital. I had a feeling this is gonna be a big fight. this is getting long. Let's speed up a bit. I ran out of food and my character became tired, so it was time to go back for today. Once I arrived, I replaced car battery for a fresh one. Because it was still early, I read Trapping Volume 2 that I somehow did not read yet. I had someone knocking on my door and crafted some swords for tomorrow. After waking up, I went straight to the hospital for round 2. Thankfully, I killed most of them yesterday, so it was only a matter of tidying up. Once it was all clear, I started loading van with clothes again. My van was not in the best condition after all the crashing I've done before. And I spotted 3 vans parked nearby that I'm gonna come back for tomorrow. Once I was back, I spent the rest of the day making rugs. Day 308. On my way to a parking lot, I spotted a small group of zombies that was gathering nearby, so I quickly dealt with them. After checking out all 3 vans, I decided I'm just gonna tow all 3 back to my base. And I end up replacing most parts of my van. But it looks so much better now. With my van now fixed, I came back to loot piles of corpses I left behind at hospital. After stuffing my van and trailer full of clothes, I went back and spent the rest of the evening turning them into rugs. Started day 310 by trying to finish rugs I started reaping yesterday, but I get bored of it really quickly, so I went on a small road trip to Big Gigamart on other side of Central Park. I was welcomed by a few zombies, thankfully had this place cleared before when I was here for a hardware store. After dealing with them, I started ransacking shelves. Mostly I was interested in getting non-perishable food, because let's face it, sometimes I just can't be asked to cook. But of course, I found a big carton of nails, now that I don't need them anymore. I still took it. With my inventory and car full, I went back to base. That's a lot of cans, loads of candy bars, and bags of chips. Afterwards, I just went back to reaping rugs. Started off day 311 with ripping clothes I had in my van and turning them into rugs. And I decided it's time to focus on leveling up some skills I've neglected, as I will be moving out of Louisville, hopefully, in next 50 to 60 days. First, I'm gonna prioritize trapping, as it will go really nice alongside butchering, and later a bit of electrical skill. Started off with making 28 crate traps, as at one point I just ran out of wood. Some of my cabbage was ready to harvest, so I picked it up and I will be using it as a bait. Only place with forest biome near me is Central Park, so that's exactly where I'm going. Unfortunately, there were some zombies gathering outside, so I had to deal with them first. I managed to place only 3 traps because my car attracted some unwanted attention and it became late pretty quick, so I went back to base. Following day, after waking up, I've checked if other cabbages were ready. and they were not. So I went back and placed rest of traps and added bait to them. I definitely want to add more, but for now that will be enough. Since I had to wait until next day to check if I caught anything, another skill on the list was electrical. I was putting this one away for later long enough, and it was finally time to do some grind. I cooked myself nice pot of stew, and I head out to Triple N building, as I figured they're gonna have a lot of stuff to dismantle inside. After so many months and after so many zombies killed outside, I expected there should be none left inside. So I went in and started dismantling everything. Computers, TVs, wall-mounted screens, nothing was safe from me. Around 7 PM I hit electrical level 5, and I'm starting to regret not dismantling walkie-talkies and radios, as that would speed up the process dramatically, but here we are anyway. Day 313. I've checked my cabbages again, still not ready. And more zombies outside of a Central Park. Around half of my traps were full, which got me to level 3 in trapping. I loaded them all in my van, and I spent most of the day butchering all the rabbits, raccoons, and processing the leathers. I was very close to level 8 in butchering, so I grabbed one of my own rabbits and I sacrificed it to get missing XP. I read half of Butchering Volume 5 and went to sleep. After waking up and finishing book, I went out and collected saplings from where I used to cut down trees. And I built small drying racks for all the leathers I processed day before. Okay, not all, as there was a lot of them. It was getting late, but I still went out and worked a bit on my electrical skill. Day 315 started pretty normally. I went out, added fresh bait to my traps. I've done a little test to see if dismantling vending machines would yield me any electrical XP. Well, the answer was no, so I just went back to News Building Station. And this is where things start to get interesting. I accidentally misclicked and shouted.
Hey.
Not thinking much out of it, I just went inside and started dismounting stuff. What can go wrong, right? Right? I was minding my own business and dismantling all the equipment inside when I've heard a zombie. It was only one, so I quickly killed him. I didn't think any of it and I continued working. By the way, that was first red flag. Second red flag, where all my alarms should be going off, was a bigger group of zombies that got inside. There were also a few outside, so I quickly killed them, and my brain still not registering anything wrong, went back and continued dismantling stuff. I was working my way through computers on a second floor, when I heard zombie noises again. I went to check, because this time it sounded like a lot more. Problem is, I was already very tired, and fighting in this condition, especially inside of a dark building, can be quite dangerous. I have no idea where this one came from. At this point, I started to panic. And I backed myself into a room with only one exit. The same one I came through. After quick thinking, I decided, fuck it, I'm going for it, and I started to run. That was stupid. With me still being close to heart attack, I realized I forgot to even check if I got beaten or have a scratch. Thankfully, my clothes protected me this time from my stupidity, and I will live another day. The rest of the evening I spent in base washing my clothes and getting ready for tomorrow. Following day I had to go back and clear all the zombies that showed up, and I was thinking about what happened before, and I come to some conclusions. Since I was driving around this place back and forth for months at this point, I suppose zombies started gathering behind one of the buildings on the left side. That one misclick that make me shout, I think it have triggered them to start moving towards me. It wasn't a huge horde, but given the fact how tired my character was, if I stayed there, I think that might have been end of this run. So yeah. After I killed all the zombies, I went back, grabbed my cowboy hat that I dropped on the ground, and decided I'm gonna do a bit more chill activities for now. I took an axe, some nails, and spent the rest of the day cutting trees, making some traps, and killing few zombies that were walking up to me. When I was done, I had 36 traps placed on the ground, and it was time to go back to home and read another book. This time, Agriculture Volume 2. I had a few hundred dirty rags, so I loaded them into my van, went to fishing outpost, and I spent the entire day washing them. Day 318. I converted bones into smaller pieces and used them to craft bone armor until I hit level 8. And then I started reading Tailoring Volume 5. Next day it was time to empty traps again and load the van full of rabbits and raccoon meat. Also trapping level 4. I hit level 9 in butchering, and I probably had more meat than I will ever need. After I was done, I started reading Trapping Volume 3. Started day 320 with cooking some fresh rabbit stew, finishing reading book I started last night. Went back to my traps. At this point I had so much meat, I just started releasing them. I cut down some trees, I brought them back to base, and I cut them into planks. I've spent half of a day on making more traps, so I can expand my operation and replace the broken ones. Later that day I returned once again to Central Park to add even more. I was very close to another level in trapping, but I fell short. After returning back to base, I started looking into making some other weapons, but it was late, so we're gonna come back to that tomorrow. After waking up, I started looking into how to make maces. Took me a while to find all the stuff I needed, but I managed to craft one. And something else brought my attention. Metal Morning Star. But it required level 7 in welding. I will come back to this later. Anyway, it was time to test the mace. It felt really nice, and I absolutely love the sound of it, but it falls behind other weapons right now. Probably because my short blunt skill is quite low. Anyway, after zombies were killed, I took some Florida Yardbirds and a folding deck chair, and I put them on the roof of my base. I went back to leveling welding skill again, I hit level 5, but I ran out of welding rods. Day 323. As soon as I woke up, I started checking my carrots, as I'm running low on bait. And they were still not ready. I paid another visit to Central Park and hit level 5 in trapping. With no welding rods and fresh bait still not ready, I decided I'm gonna level up my electrical skill, as I was very close to another level. There was this nice office building just next to the main road that I already cleared. After dismantling whole 2 computers, few zombies actually showed up, so I quickly dealt with them. And I went back to work. Unfortunately, that wasn't enough, and I was lacking about 400 XP. So instead, I went to some homes that I knew were already clear of zombies, and spent few hours dismantling TVs until I hit level 6. Next 3 days I spent on tailoring. I've got it to level 9, and I replaced all leather padding I had with fresh one to give myself better protection. I've spent entire day driving around Louisville and checking most hardware stores if I haven't missed any welding rods. Also, I've checked Big Warehouse again. Some of you might be thinking, why not just go to Steely Revolve for welding rods and Voltec HQ for electrical stuff? And the reason is they're too close to military checkpoint. I don't want to go close to it until it's time to leave Louisville because of how zombie spawns work, and I'm about 30 days from true peak population. Anyway, I found another pawn shop next to another hardware store I haven't looted yet, but my character was already tired, so I'm gonna come back tomorrow. I quickly checked some traps that still had baits inside, and it was time to prepare myself for tomorrow. I took M1 rifle, swords, and some machetes.
I started blasting. Bang! Bang!
When I ran out of full magazines, I switched to swords. It's crazy how effective long blades are with high enough skill. They are cutting through hordes of zombies like they're made out of thin air. I know, multi-hit helps. When I got tired, I went back to base, reloaded all my magazines and went to sleep. After waking up, I went back to finish the job. Only thing worth of note that I found inside of the pawn shop was Long Blade Volume 5. And with amount of grind left to level 8, I'm not even sure if I will use it, but I took it anyway. There were still few zombies outside of the hardware store, but I was already too tired. So I'm gonna come back tomorrow, but before sleep, I made 6 fresh swords. Day 330. I quickly killed all the zombies around the hardware store and found, drumroll, 0 welding rods. I was doing some exploring around the hardware store and I found another pawn shop. And there was absolutely nothing interesting inside. After returning back to base, I was thinking maybe I can go and scavenge some garages for welding rods. But I felt like doing something else instead. I loaded my van with food, fresh water. Yep, it's time for a road trip. Of course, I'm going for a drive, and it has to be a thick fog on that day. Anyway, my plan was to visit an airport, as I never been there before, and a small military checkpoint just to see what I could expect from a big one when I'll be leaving the town. Obviously, I had to hit something on my way. Once I was there, yeah, that's a lot of zombies. Well, that fog kinda broke my plans for exploring the airport, so instead I'm just gonna head to military checkpoint. And of course, I crashed again. Oh shit, that might take a while to clear. It's time to get to work. Once I become tired, I decided to use a farmhouse I slept in before months ago. It was fair distance away from here, so there should be no zombies. And I took some sleeping pills, only to wake up before 5 in the morning. I guess we started earlier today, and it's time to change the music a bit. I hit level 7 in long blades. Okay, that's a lot of zombies. Thankfully, swords are cutting through them like they're made of butter. At this point, I killed more than 1,000 here. And I had to go back to the house earlier as I was getting drowsy and damage is falling off really hard when you're tired. And with nothing better to do, I just fast forward time until it was time to sleep. Day 333. It was time for another round. Midday I was able to get into the checkpoint, and it looks like I'm getting closer to finishing here. The group seems to be getting smaller. I'm guessing one more day and I'll be able to start looting. But for now, another night at the farm. After a good night of sleep and few more hours, I was finally able to kill final group and get to looting. From the good stuff, I found Reloading Volume 3, 4 more magazines for my M16s, also 2 M16 rifles. And yes, I'm saving them for big military checkpoint. And out of all the things, 2 welding rods. Yay! I was checking corpses just outside, when on side of my screen I spotted some zombies walking to me through the field. What the hell? Self-preservation kicked in and I backed the hell out of there. I will come back tomorrow after night of sleep. Finally, day 335. I was driving back to the checkpoint, and you know what? Let me share some wisdom with you. Part of living long life in Project Zomboid is to know when to back the fuck out. Yeah, I can sense this going really bad, really quick, especially with my engine already in red. So I started driving back to base very carefully. Whatever loot was left behind was not worth it. Once I arrived back, I started unloading all the loot. Oh, did I mention? I picked 2 more Florida birds from farm I was staying at. Anyway, once I was done, I started leveling up welding again now that I had some rods. And it hit me. I'm an idiot. I could just dismantle metal sheets into small ones and assemble them back, again and again. Morning Star, here I come. I quickly hit level 6 in welding and started reading book volume 4 and then reloading volume 3. Day 336. After waking up and reading Reloading Volume 3, I've decided I'm gonna go back to small military checkpoint and check if I can still retrieve some loot from corpses over there. Also, I would still like to visit airport, as last time there was a bit of heavy fog. But first I had to do a little preparation for that. I started with power leveling welding to level 7 and I crafted myself a Morning Star and some extra swords and 2 pipe bombs. Following day I went out to test drive a Morning Star. It is a bit similar to the mace, a bit higher damage, but less satisfying sound. And the problem is, once you have access to crafted long blades, there is very little incentive to actually use anything else, except, you know, for fun. With that said, I went to villas by the river and dismantled some fences for steel bars. Got some engine parts, fixed my van, and I've read a bit of Electrical Volume 4 before going to bed. Preparations for small checkpoint and airport continue. I needed more charcoal for crafting extra Morning Stars and swords. At this point I gave up on trapping skill. And only reason I was doing it in the first place was because it was scaling damage of Cheval de Frise. And also my carrots were still not ready. So yeah, moving on. Back at base I made 4 more swords and more Morning Stars. With all that done, it was bedtime and I was hoping for a decent weather and no fog tomorrow. Yeah, that's a beautiful weather, but I'm going anyway. And on my way I realized I don't have headlights, so I stopped and fixed that quickly, you know, just in case. And to my big surprise I arrived without crashing a single time. Yay! Okay, my plan was to start clearing zombies on the intersection between airport and a checkpoint. And since I had 2 pipe bombs with me, I've tried gathering zombies into a bigger group. Not the best throw, but still less zombies to deal with. After this, I switched to the Morning Star, and a bit of explanation. I had this problem going on for a long time now. Sometimes my game will just randomly close itself without giving me any error. I'm already using alternative launcher as it happens less with it. I've tried fresh install, updating drivers, and nothing seems to help. Anyway, after loading back into the game, corpses from the pipe bomb have disappeared. Ha, interesting. For now, I wanted to level up short blunts, you know, just for fun. And because my level isn't high enough, I'm getting tired pretty quickly, so I'll be running back to my car and resting over there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think zombies can break this fence. I see them bunching up in there, but they're not attacking it. I've got drowsy, so I'll be sleeping in the same farmhouse again, as it's the safest place around. Ooh, I found the dress. Of course, I had to try it. And that's not my color. Day 340. Weather is still bad. And I went to check if the corpses near the checkpoint are still there, as I have not looted them and I was hoping for some M16 magazines. Nope. They're gone. which is a bit strange because I have the setting on default 2 weeks. I think the fact that this save survived 3 or 4 updates might have messed some things up. Oh well, shame. Moving on. Suddenly, out of nowhere, fog. And I was quite close to leveling Shoreblades, so that's what I focused on now. After hitting level 5 in Shoreblades, I got myself into a car and went to check what I will be dealing with inside of the airport. Looks like there are some nice, big and juicy groups in here. This is gonna take a while to clear. And you know what? It's time to get rid of this fog. Alright, I better start clearing this place. It's long blade time again. And I've decided, since I've got Long Blades Volume 5 at base, I'm gonna try to go for level 10 before end of this run. Okay, in next 5 days I got rid of close to 4,000 zombies. Originally I had nearly 7-minute long version of it, but I did feel like it was a bit too long, so it got trimmed down to 4. Let me know in the comments if you would prefer shorter versions or longer versions of stuff like this. I was clearing the other side of the terminal, and I'm kinda sad that zombies cannot jump out of the windows. Just imagine this, you're driving past big apartment complex and out of nowhere it's raining zombies. Developers or modders, please fix. Okay, let's stop for a second. After I made the original video, a guy showed up in my comment section and actually made this mod. And I'm proudly presenting you Raining Zombies by Whiff. This is amazing. Thank you. You're a hero. Anyway, today was last day at airport. I did not feel like going inside because, you know, reasons. And the number of zombies slain on airport is 3,700. Yeah, swords and machetes are absolutely insane with dealing with big groups of zombies. After a long drive back, I did not crash even once and arrived safely to my base. Unloaded my truck, changed light bulbs in floodlights, sat down and continued reading Electrical Volume 4. The entirety of day 346 I spent at base crafting machetes and swords, as it was time to start properly preparing myself for escaping Louisville. Oh, and my carrots were finally ready. I hit level 3 in agriculture, and unfortunately I won't be needing carrots anymore. So yeah, too bad. And I finished reading Electrical Volume 4. Because I ran out of propane tanks, it was time to visit Big Warehouse. Again. After unloading 7 full tanks, I also needed more wood that I'll be turning into charcoal, and that's what I end up doing for the rest of the day. On day 348 I wanted to focus again on getting long blades to level 8. I started by killing some zombies down the road from Network News building, and to get 2 birds with 1 stone I was also collecting clothes from them, as I still wanted to get Tailoring to level 10. As I was getting ready to leave for a place with a bit more zombies, a really nice group started coming out of the apartment complex. I was missing only around 300 XP, but I became drowsy, so I'll have to come back tomorrow to finish the job. And because it was still too early to hit the bed, I started processing all the clothes into rags. Another day, another group of zombies. After I was done with them, I was very close to leveling up, but it can wait until tomorrow. First, I collected all the clothes, and it took me until 2 AM to finish processing them into rags. Because of that, I end up waking up at 2:30 on the afternoon. Finally got long blades to level 8, dealt with remaining zombies, loaded van and trailer full of clothes, and read entirety of Long Blades Volume 5 in one sitting. First half of day 351 I spent processing clothes into rags, and the second half washing them, and I felt like someone was watching me all the time. And it's gone. That was a lot of rags. But now I could spend 4 days leveling Tailoring to level 10. With that done, I replaced padding on my clothes again with new one. I grabbed a torch and went to get more steel bars. And then I spent day 356 crafting more swords and machetes. I don't even think I'm gonna use all of them, but I'd rather have more than run out. Following day it was time to make a move towards military checkpoint. Plan was to first clear road ahead of it, so I'm not gonna have to deal with zombies coming from behind later. By the way, take a look how much XP I'm getting after reading a book. Getting longer blades to level 10 will be a breeze. And when I was at it, I cleared some zombies around AmeriGlobe office, you know, just in case. There was also a nice group waiting for me near hospital. I've done a little drive near it, I've honked a few times, and went back to base as I become drowsy. With time left in the day, I got welding to level 8. Entirety of day 358 I spent dealing with hordes of zombies near hospital. Got long blades to level 9. And at this point it feels like I'm cutting grass, not zombies. If you can get to this point with long blades, basically every other weapon just becomes obsolete. Anyway, after returning to base, I brew myself a cup of coffee for tomorrow and went to sleep. Following day, I stopped by a small group that was gathering on the middle of the road. And then I continued to work through hordes of zombies near hospital. Later that day I paid a quick visit to Vault Tech building, but I opted out of looting it as I don't think I will be doing any more electrical skill in this run. And since I was close by, I've checked Steely Revolve, but I found only a bunch of steel sheets and rods, but at this point I'm not gonna have any use for them. I had to fix my van again, but instead I found one that was in better condition and nice colors, so I towed it back to base, and I will be using this one now. Day 360 was fully dedicated to preparing myself for checkpoint. I fixed my cars to best conditions I could, crafted 4 pipe bombs, and honestly I could make more, but it feels like blowing up the whole checkpoint would be a bit anticlimactic. Loaded all 9 magazines for M16s and put them in the trunk of my van, shotgun shells, food, and I had 2 cars ready. One that I will park closer to a checkpoint, and second I wanted to leave further away, just in case as a getaway car, if first one will end up being overrun by zombies. Big day has finally come, and it was thick fog, god fucking damn it. Instead I decided to postpone attack on the checkpoint for a while and wrap up few skills that were close to level 10. Started off by reading Welding Volume 5, and I've got it to level 9. Next up was cooking, as it was close to level 10 as well. I threw a bunch of rabbits into the oven and called it a day. Following day, since I started it, I got welding to level 10. Next up in line, butchering skill. Thankfully Mother Nature has provided me with loads of rabbits. And when life gives you a bunch of rabbits, you squeeze them and make lemonade. Or something like that. Anyway, another level 10. Day 363. Weather is finally good and it's time to make a move towards checkpoint. I left one car near the hospital and drove closer to the checkpoint with a second one. At first, I started with a sword, but after a while I switched to M16 and started blasting again. Unfortunately, with only 9 magazines, fun didn't last long, so I had to switch back to machete. Once it was a bit more clear, I reloaded all my magazines and continued shooting. When I got drowsy, I went back to base, reloaded all my magazines, and loaded M1A as well, since you know I had some ammo left. There were still more zombies coming out of the hospital that probably got attracted by me shooting yesterday, so I quickly dealt with them. And moved back towards the checkpoint. After some time I was able to come close, and honestly from a distance it doesn't look so bad, so far. After I ran out of loaded magazines, I switched to shotgun. Day 365. After waking up and making fresh cup of coffee, I started loading magazines for JS14 and M16, because I ran out of M1A ammo. And the fight continued. By the way, I am the only one that feels like this whenever I'm aiming at zombies. Day 366. I was able to John Wick my way into the checkpoint. And yeah, that's a lot of zombies left. It's time for pipe bombs. Another day, another cup of coffee. After some time, I was finally able to see other side of the checkpoint and my way out. But first, a bit more zombies. that last group standing between me and escaping Louisville was finally gone. Finally, day 368. It's really incredible for me how my base has transformed over last year since I moved in here. It's a shame, but it is time to leave. Turn the lights off. It was very long year. I got 13 skills to level 10 and killed over 36,000 zombies. Took me nearly 3 months to record and edit all the footage, balancing it between work and spending time with my partner, and I would like to thank her for all the support she gave me during that time, and everyone who was here from very first episode, and everyone else who joined along the way. All your comments and support you gave me during the time was huge motivation for me to keep going and improving. I'm gonna take everything I learned while making this series and I'm gonna make something even better next time. As always, thank you for dedicating your very precious time to watching my video. If you feel like I deserve it and you would like to see more of my content in the future, consider subscribing, leaving a comment or dropping a like. Everything helps. Have a wonderful time and I will see you next time. Oh, speaking of next time,